Is that good with you, Tyler?
Yeah, start anytime.
Right. Cool. I think we're live on theoretically two platforms, maybe three, because I hooked in YouTube. I've never done that before. So
Oh,
maybe we're
amazing.
live.
Nice.
Hi, everyone. We've started this webinar a little bit early. So you're here for 3 minutes before we officially start. So hopefully we entertain you with our banter. Hey, Fairy. And if not, well, hey, you only have 3 minutes. So until we get the show rolling.
Works perfect.
Awesome. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, folks who are tuning in from webinar, Zoom, tuning in from theoretically YouTube and LinkedIn. Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. Cool. We are live streaming. Perfect. It's working.
Amazing.
And I have a short deck. One thing we need is music. Tyler, do you have like music stuff that you do?
I do. I mean, not while I'm talking. I used to. So at the beginning of all my live streams, I have like a 5-minute countdown, and that's when everyone joins in and says hello in chat. I used to have background music during the stream, but I have a lot of people who follow me who are ESL, English as second language, and they told me that trying to understand English when it's not their primary language with music playing is very difficult. So I stopped doing music while I'm talking. But during the beginning, I have some like usually hip hop music playing for the 5-minute countdown.
That's awesome. We have a request from one of the audience members. They want you to rap.
They got to go to my YouTube for that. That's another we can talk about that if we want to, but
I'm
yes,
writing it
that's
down. I have my
one of
little
the
notebook with my
one
notes.
of
I'm
my
writing
many
down rap.
interests. Yes, I used to. So like this microphone is a super high-end studio microphone. I think it's like over $1,000 if you buy it. But I used to have a side gig where I would record vocals and mix vocals for people, and used to write some of my own music. Traveled around a little bit, and I've made music while live streaming before, like cybersecurity music, just for fun. Like we write it while I'm streaming, we record the whole thing. I'll mix and master it while I'm streaming, like all in real time, and the audience gets to be a part of it. So I've done that a handful of times in live streams.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But you refuse to do it here for some reason. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I have to be in the mood to do it. Yes.
Awesome. Hey, folks, we'll get started in just a second. Hi, everyone. I'm Gianna. I'm here with the amazing and fabulous and beautiful and inspiring Tyler Ramsbey. And we're going to get started in just a second. As you guys, yes, hello, Mohammed. As you log in from wherever you're logging in from, if you're on LinkedIn, it's going to be hard for us to see your comments. So if you want to join us on the webinar on Zoom, feel free. We also are live streaming on YouTube, which I've done for the first time. So hello to anyone who's there. Thank you. And we always run our webinars very interactively. So if you have questions, comments, you want to chat, you want to throw us a question, like that is the purpose of this webinar. Feel free to use either the chat box, which you're already using. Thank you. Oh, heart. Thank you. And also we have a Q&A box where you can ask anonymous questions as well. So feel free and we'll get started in just a minute. And while we get started, where's everyone chiming in from? Would love to see. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Oh, Bradley's in San Diego. That is hilarious. Thank you, Bradley. India. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Cool beans. All right. I am a marketer, so I made a very, very short deck to explain what the heck this is. So forgive me. But we're getting started now. So also, one more thing, if you have any problems with our hearing or if the audio cuts out, if we need to talk slower, let us know. We want to know to make sure that this is the best experience for y'all. And then give me one more second. We're going to do a very quick PowerPoint. Can everyone see the screen? The PowerPoint screen?
Looks beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you love how it's not full screen?
I love it. That's my
Isn't
favorite kind
that
of PowerPoint.
isn't that great? All right, we'll make it full screen for a second. Um, and then for a second, mm, give me one more second. Sorry, folks. Back end stuff. Enjoy us. Just enjoy this moment with us as everyone waits for me to finish what I should have done probably 10 minutes ago. So, all right. Welcome to Behind the Cyber Creator. So, this is a new series. Hi, I'm Gianna Whitver, co founder and CEO of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. And we're super excited to be having this series, Behind the Cyber Creator, at Ask Me Anything with Cybersecurity Creators series. So cool, so fun. We're so honored to have Tyler on our very first episode, our very first show. Thank you so much, Tyler. Who are we? Who is this lady, right? That's on with Tyler Ramsbey. So, what do we do at the society? We help marketers in cyber succeed. We host events, education, community, industry resources. We have a newsletter. We have a podcast. We have resources to help marketers in cybersecurity be successful because we believe if marketers in cyber can do great marketing, that we are part of that mission to propagate amazing security products and services and keep the world a safer place. So it matters a lot to marketers in this industry. And before myself and my co-founder Maria started this, there wasn't really a place for marketers. There wasn't really an ISAC for marketers. There wasn't an OWASP for marketers or an IC squared. So we started something ourselves. Now we run a community of over 4,000 marketers at about 1,600 security companies. And we exist just to help the industry. We have another, since this is a series, we're going to have our next AMA with Philip Wiley on February 26th. I'm putting this here because we're not bringing the deck up again. We're going to have like a full conversation with Tyler. So I just want to let you know that this is a continuous series. We're going to do this once a month for the year of 2026. So also, if you're a creator and you're watching and you want to be on, submit your name. Also, for anyone who's attending RSA, we're having a fabulous party. We hope to see you there at the 2026 RSA Conference Party for Cyber Marketers. It is a true banger. And we also want to thank Mishka Agency. This is a mixed audience here. I know we have security folks. I know we have Tyler's followers, my followers, society members, marketers, go-to-market people. Mishka actually suggested this series. They're an amazing agency run by my friend Yulia Gorenka and her amazing team, including Aiva, and they help connect creators with brands that want to work with them. So we absolutely recommend them at the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. They've helped us before, and they are just really wonderful. And they're doing a giveaway today. So they also, along with just being great to work with, are offering a giveaway. They're going to be giving away an influencer dealer sweatshirt to one lucky winner, and as well, and one influencer marketing strategy session. And this is going to go to the best question in the audience as chosen by Yulia afterwards. So you will receive an email if you win. Quick housekeeping. Can I ask questions throughout? Yes. If you just joined, we want to hear your questions. This is an AMA. You can ask Tyler anything. You can ask me anything if you want. And we're here to answer it. And Tyler is here to answer all of your questions. And in our pre-session, he was talking about how he's an open book. So I'm like really excited to ask all sorts of questions. And then yes, this is recorded. So if you have to drop off because you forgot that, you have a job and you have to go there or whatever, for whatever reason, this will be recorded. You can watch it later. Okay. I am so excited to introduce our very first guest on this series, Tyler Ramsbey. He's an offensive security expert. He's the founder of KairoSec. He's the founder of Hack Smarter. You know him, you love him. He has more than 100,000 followers across LinkedIn and YouTube, and he's just an amazing person. Tyler, thank you for joining us today. I'm done.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's so fun to be here. Thank you everyone for having me. Excited to share. I will just emphasize I'm building all of this in the public, and I told my community this in the beginning. So really, no question is off limits. I even share my YouTube channel, like revenue details and everything. So anything that I can help serve you guys with as far as questions go, happy to answer them. Happy to at least attempt to answer them and provide some guidance.
I love it. I love it so much. We're so excited out, and we already got like a bunch of questions in the form that
Amazing.
people registered with. So I want to start with one of these. that I think a lot of people have, and we were talking about it right before. We want to know the full breakdown of your streaming and recording setup. How can we buy what Tyler has so that we can become you?
Yes. So this is what's going to surprise people the most. Anyone who follows me knows that my setup is about the most duct tape together live stream setup you can make, but it works. And I think simplicity is better. So I'll share with you guys first, the wall behind me is not real. I have two offices. One is at my home, which is where I'm at now. And I have a small little office on Main Street in my town. But my home office is in a completely unfinished basement. And you looking at dry or not even drywall, it's insulation behind me does not look great on video. So I found like a $20 brick wall off Amazon with a photography stand, and that's all that's behind me. So like it's literally fabric. There's nothing real there. My kids had the idea, hey, maybe we should throw pictures up there and make it look like a real wall. So the artwork comes from my kids. That's real. The brick wall is not real. Then I have for my camera, I used to use a really cheap webcam. I upgraded to a smartphone. I had a smartphone that broke mostly, but the camera still works. I was like, hey, I could turn my smartphone into a camera. So my camera is literally just an Android phone with OBS Studios, the technical details, and I'm able to use that as a webcam. And then my lighting, we were talking about this as well. A lot of streamers have like the fancy like ring lights. I have once again, I think it's a $20 lamp off Amazon. It's meant for reading, so it bends up and down. So I just bend it all the way up and I put it behind my camera. And in my opinion, it looks just fine for video side of things. Not only that, the other thing that is probably funny to most people is a lot of streamers, content creators have like these fancy desks, like you can rise up and everything. I am not joking. My desk consists of two 6-foot white folding tables. I have one where my computers are on, and I have another one right here to give myself kind of like a ghetto L shape. But it gives me a lot of desk space, allows me to do everything I'm able to do. And so my encouragement to anyone is like if you want to make videos, if you want to live stream, if you want to make content, having all the expensive stuff isn't that important. What's important is authenticity, and what's also important is audio quality. You can have terrible video, you don't want to have terrible audio. So I do have a pretty high-end microphone, but honestly like a $200 USB microphone is going to be more than enough. So if you're creative, there are ways to make all of it happen without spending thousands of dollars on a backdrop or camera equipment. Just be consistent, make content, be authentic with the audience, and the rest of it will follow.
Yeah, I'll throw in a plug for a piece of equipment too. So this is our expensive microphone, and it is $300, which is a lot less, I think, than a real pro microphone. We started with that Yeti back there, which was like $100 at the time. So we on our podcast have slowly upgraded our audio because, like Tyler says, audio matters more than anything. I truly believe that, and I absolutely agree with that. Okay, so tell us about and audience, post questions in the Q&A and in the chat. I'm going to be watching now that I don't have my screen share on. So make sure to ask questions. We're going to cover the questions you want to know. So Tyler, tell us like about this journey. How did you even you have like fans. You have like people love you. You're beloved. You're helping the community. You're giving. You're building in public. Tell us the story of how you got from your very first video to where you are today.
Yeah, so I started making content. Well, geez, we could go into this story later. I was
I
a
know.
pastor for 10 years, so I used to make video content in that world, and that's where I got a lot of experience doing public speaking. I did IT stuff on the side. I switched fully to the world of IT and cybersecurity around 2020 during that little thing called the COVID-19 pandemic.
I've never heard of
And
it.
I know, small
I'm just
thing,
kidding.
happened to just a few people. But yes, that's when I switched over to IT and cybersecurity, and I've always had an interest in ethical hacking. Matter of fact, in high school, I got banned from using computers because of trying to hack into the systems. And so couldn't use computers in high school, always had an interest in it. And I thought, hey, I think I can figure out this ethical hacking type thing. And one of the things I knew that I had, although I didn't have extensive experience full time in IT, I knew that I had the ability to communicate somewhat well, and I know how to create video, and I know how to build a community. So I thought, hey, I'll just start sharing what I am learning. So my first few videos were just me hitting go live and live streaming via OBS and just solving machines and sharing labs and sharing what I was learning, and that slowly became the community I have today. It was also during this time that there was a certification from Offset called the OSCP that a lot of people want for ethical hacking. Me and a friend were both trying to get it, wanted to hold one another accountable. So we met once a week just over Zoom to ask ourselves, hey, what did you accomplish this past week? What are your learning goals for this upcoming week? And that grew to the Hack Smarter community. So now we have the Hack Smarter community, which is a little over 15,000 people now, quite literally an international community. And that's on Discord. We host weekly events all the time. We do career coaching at Donate What You Can. So a lot of free, a lot of giving back to the community. So I just started recording live streams, and everything else was mainly organic. And then as of October 1st, I decided to quit my super high paying job as a pen tester, as a security consultant for a company in Seattle to try to build my own thing. And we are in the middle of that now. So we can chat about that. But that's the story. Very long story compressed into like 2.5 minutes there.
I love it. And I'm going to ask you more about building KairoSec and building a pen testing company. But before we go on, you were a pastor, and pastors talk to a lot of folks. You had to be out there, you had to talk to the community. For those of us who happen to not be in that, have experience in that, what are some tips or advice on speaking better that you think would be useful to this audience?
Yes. And one thing I just want people to be aware of, because they don't guess this about me, I am incredibly introverted. And what's unique about that is, as a pastor, that was draining, especially the small talk with people constantly. But as an introvert, I love reading and I love studying. So I am not joking. I read books on how to like have conversations without being awkward. And that's literally how I figured out how to do small talk, was reading books and trying to figure it out that way. When it comes to public speaking, I've always had an interest in that. So even in high school, I was on the speech team. So I did like speech competitions and thoroughly enjoyed that part of it. But when it comes to public speaking, you don't get better at it unless you simply do it more. And the
Mm,
reality is, the first few times, honestly, the first 100 times you do some type of public speaking, you're gonna suck. Like, no one speaks for the first time and is incredibly engaging. It takes practice after practice after practice. That's why I think live streaming is amazing, because you can practice talking to a camera. You don't have the intimidation of people sitting in front of you. But then once you do a lot of live streaming, you do eventually have to stand up in front of people and share something you're passionate about. And once again, it's not going to go well the first few times, but after you do it over and over and over and over again, you begin to figure out better ways to connect with people. So I don't have good advice like do this and you'll become a better public speaker. My only advice is you would just have to get out and start speaking and start trying to share with other people what you're passionate about, and that growth and success will eventually follow that.
We have two comments that I want to touch on. So, Vin Thomas, thanks for joining, Vin. Vin's the founder of Fixel. A lot of folks in the industry have a background in ministry, and I feel like it preps you so well for service and for building community. Like, agree. I think I don't think, Tyler, you have anything to say besides that agree, right?
Yeah, I mean, not even ministry. I think a lot of people in cybersecurity, and also I'm guessing marketing, it's not their first career. Maybe they pivoted into it from a prior career. And what I always encourage people is like, you learn skills in that prior career that can transfer over really well. Of course, ministry, the ability to communicate, lead, cast vision, that transfers over really well. But pick your prior career and it will transfer over if you spend a little bit of time just thinking through it.
Love it. Also, your rap music career helped also, says Paul. So, hey, we
That's
can't
my
discount
dad.
that.
My dad must have joined. Yeah, so I mean, as part of that, I would be on stage, right? Perform music, also talk to people. So a lot of it's just things I've been doing for a very long time. So I always encourage people, like if you see me at a conference, like I keynoted Simply CyberCon back in November, don't compare yourself to me. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And for 10 years, literally at least once a week for 10 years, I stood in front of people and talked for like 45 minutes. And you can't really get that prep anywhere else. You just have to do it. You just have to stand up in front of people and start talking.
I love it. Tyler, you mentioned some books that you read early on when you were trying to get better and better. Do you remember any of the titles? Can you share them with us?
I'll give you one book that is amazing, especially for those who are introverts. I want to get the title right. I believe it's called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. I'm typing into Google to see if I'm right. I'm spot on. Yes, by Susan Cain. So, Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. That really revolutionized the way I view my own personality and the way that I viewed introversion, not as a weakness, but there's some incredible strengths there that have also helped with public speaking, using some of the things I'm really gifted at to help with some of the areas that I am weaker in. So if there's one book I'd recommend, it's that Quiet book by Susan Cain.
Love it. I'm going to make a recommendation too for so I'm also an introvert, like a pretty extreme introvert, maybe not as extreme as you, Tyler, but when I was a little girl, my dad made me order my own meal at McDonald's and it made me cry. I was so shy. I was like, I can't talk to like another person. So I had to learn how to do that and basically force myself out of that as I got older and as I progressed into running the Cybersecurity Marketing Society, which is a community and you're talking to people all the time. There's a great YouTuber who I totally recommend, Vin Yang. I'm going to list his name in the chat. He has a great YouTube channel. I've never taken any of his courses, but I watch his free stuff all the time. Great like speaking coaching and giving you
I love
tips
it.
for how to speak better, which obviously I don't fully execute on, but I try. Um, all right, we have a question from the audience, and I want to make sure we touch on the audience questions too. We have someone who posted in the Q&A. Suppose someone wants to start a YouTube channel documenting their journey as they learn. I have asked this before, but somehow can't get past the fact that I need to create good content and not just content, which is also something that marketers think about too. So I love this is relevant to everybody. At my level of knowledge, I can't obviously mentor people. So all I have in mind is to document as I learn and maybe explain things the way I understand them. How do I promote my channel without coming off as some all-knowing script kiddie? Currently prepping for my Security Plus, and I want to share my journey through content to build genuine audience.
That's a good question. There's a lot to unpack there. I would
Mhm.
say the core part of that question is that person's assumption is wrong. And the assumption that is wrong is they specifically said, I'm not at a place where I can mentor someone. You are wrong. You are at a place where you can mentor other people. And this is what I did in the beginning. I did not focus on making quote unquote good content. Even my content now would not be quote unquote good in terms of getting viral views. A lot of my content is highly technical and I'm teaching through things. A lot of my live streams are me just hanging out with people and us solving labs together. So I think you need to first define what good means for you. Good, I think, is focusing on genuinely helping other people and giving back to the community. And number two, yes, you are in a position where you can mentor other people. You are only studying for the Security Plus, but you're further along than others. You could start a Security Plus study group. That's how we started Hack Smarter. You can meet with a group of people studying for Security Plus and help them grow and learn together. You could share those study sessions on your YouTube channel. What I have noticed when it comes to YouTube content is we now have a lot of AI, and I'll just call it AI slop. Even you have a lot of AI generated videos, but even videos that aren't AI generated that have a real person, you can quite clearly tell they are reading off of an AI script that ChatGPT or Gemini made for them. I think now, and even more so as we continue down this AI trajectory, that people are hungry for real people. And even if your videos are a little bit raw, if you're authentic in them and you're actually being you and not trying to be like the next big YouTuber, you'll be able to find a niche people. You'll be able to build your own community. And you would be surprised at how much you can start giving back to the community right now. I'll give one more thing. When it comes to starting a YouTube channel, though, the thing that people underestimate is how hard consistency is. So I've talked to a lot of people who start a YouTube channel. They're pumped about it for 3 months and they realize, wow, creating content is really difficult. And it is, but the consistency is what's important. I've had my YouTube channel for I think 4 or 5 years, and I have almost 800 videos. So if you do the math, I release 2 to 4 videos every single week, live stream all the time. And I was doing that while I was working full time in a highly technical job before doing my own thing now. And I'm running two businesses. So it's not that I have less work to do, I have more work, but that consistency, incredibly difficult, but arguably way more important than just making good content.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you have 800 videos over the course of your video career is a ton. And I want to ask you a question. You know, videos on people on YouTube, they create content, they create channels with the not saying you, but with the idea that hopefully it makes money, right? Over time. Do your videos on YouTube make you money, Tyler? Does it create a revenue stream for the business, for Hack Smarter, or for Kairos or for Tyler Ramsby?
I'll say sometimes, and here's where, as a technical content creator, I have to be very careful when it comes to the revenue side of things. And what I mean by that is I do get a lot of brands reaching out to me saying, hey, Tyler, can you make a sponsored video? Can we do a 60-second ad, et cetera, et cetera? And a lot of those brands, just from a technical standpoint, are not legit. They're not the best brand for my audience. And so I say no to probably most requests that come through for video sponsorships because I really believe that my audience's trust needs to be stewarded well. So I've done a handful of sponsored content and I can make revenue that way. I don't make a whole lot of money from ad revenue on YouTube. A lot of my videos, like my live streams, ads aren't allowed because I play copyrighted music during the 5 minute countdown. But how I view it, at least from a business perspective, where I make most of my revenue on the content creation side is Hack Smarter. I have super affordable courses, labs, training, and all that. So I picture YouTube as like a very high level funnel. I give a bunch of free content away there, a bunch of free training there. And then if people want to go a little bit deeper or support what I'm doing, they generally become a paid subscriber over on Hack Smarter. And that's where I make most of my revenue. So to answer your question, a little bit, but not as much as I could. But I think when it comes to YouTubers, anyone who's watching who wants to start a YouTube channel, you do need to be careful about those sponsored videos. If you go from being authentic grassroots and then all of a sudden all your videos are sponsored, your audience will take notice and that trust that you spent years building is going to fall apart. Not to mention, at times, if you don't do your due diligence, I mean, we've seen the big YouTubers peddle crypto scams and such because they didn't do their due diligence. Then it comes out that it was a scam. They're like, well, I didn't know it was a scam. I was just promoting it. I was paid for the sponsored. No, you have the responsibility. If you're going to speak about something, do your research, do your due diligence, and make sure it's something you can actually stand behind before you promote it.
I love that. And that's a couple of the questions that came in when people were registering were about that. Like what criteria are important to you when you're selecting when someone reaches out to you, a brand reaches out to you. How do you, Tyler, do your due diligence? Say random company comes in and wants to work with you. Like what would be the next steps?
Yeah, so there's a different process now than what I had before. I will say
Mhm.
my general process before was basically I'm really busy and don't have time to dig into your brand. So no, like we're not going to do this because I don't have the time to look into it. That was my process before. Now I work with a partner called Team Osh, who I'm guessing a lot of people might be aware of. So now if someone reaches out, I'm just like, hey, talk to Team Osh and have the initial conversation with them. And then if it makes through Team Osh, they'll pass the name over to me and then I'll begin digging into the brand. Now, I'm embedded pretty heavily into the space of cybersecurity, pen testing. And so, if it's a brand, I have more than likely heard of them. And kind of my litmus test on whether or not I'm going to promote them is if I would actually use them as
Ooh.
a student, as someone who wants to learn. If I'm not going to actively use them, I'm not going to promote them to my audience because they're likely not a good fit for my audience. So, and that's tough. I've turned down really good money, to be honest, because the brands, although they are reputable brands, they're just not the best value for the money when it comes to training or whatever it is. Like I would recommend these other platforms that are more affordable and higher quality. And if I would recommend them in a conversation, well, I'm not gonna promote them on YouTube. I will say it's a struggle. I'm actually curious from those in the marketing world because what I've been told is that when you make a sponsored video, it's not you personally endorsing the product, it's more of a commercial. Which you see that with celebrities. You have like Shaq talking about whatever in a commercial. He doesn't personally endorse it, but I think in a highly technical niche content like offensive security and cybersecurity, you can really ruin your credibility by promoting products or brands or platforms that aren't actually useful or aren't the best value. So honestly a struggle for me that I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think because when you're a creator and you're the face, Tyler, right? You are the face, and if you bring in a brand that's next to your face, like, "Hey, I'm Tyler, and I'm talking about X." It's not like a TV show where there's like six commercials, and they just paid for slots. Like that TV channel doesn't, vet. They probably vet a little, but it's not like, oh, they're recommending this product or this
Yeah.
show is recommending this product. It's just airing in between stuff. And since the live streams and the content's so intimate because it's focused on you and your knowledge and what you know and you're sharing and giving to the audience, I think that when you talk about brands, that it does make sense to be pretty selective or to be more selective or to be selective as possible because it does seem like an endorsement from a person. Um, that's my perspective as a marketer. Someone raised their hand before. Do you have, it was Suzanne. Suzanne, do you have a comment you want to add? Suzanne's silent now. That's okay. We'll come back to you later.
It's scary.
It is
Yes.
scary. How much? So, you said you'd answer anything and feel free to say
I
pass,
will.
but how much does it cost to work with Tyler as an influencer or a creator?
Yeah, so honestly, that's where I trust Team Osh with a lot of that. I'm super bad at setting pricing. So it would depend on the brand size, what they want to do on the channel or LinkedIn, because really there's two main things that I offer brands. One would be like a your standard 60-second ad integration in the beginning of a video.
Mhm.
Also, a LinkedIn post is another thing that we often do that gets a lot of traction on LinkedIn. I think I have, I don't know, 60 or 70,000 followers on LinkedIn. So that's good for the business to business side of things. What I don't normally do would be a full sponsored video. So pricing there would be a little bit different. A full sponsored video would have to be something that I actually want to use and showcase. So one example of a full sponsored video, there was a brand that was developing I think it was a browser extension that detects phishing. And I was like,
Oh.
hey, we could do a sponsored video on it, but I'm going to rate it honestly because I have a whole course on hands-on phishing. So how about I try to fish and we see if your extension can stop it, but I'll be real with you, if your extension doesn't stop it, your extension is going to look bad. Like I'm not going to edit the video to try to make you look better. So I don't generally do full sponsored videos, but I do those 60-second ads and LinkedIn integrations. So kind of a ballpark price of what it would look like. You're looking anywhere from maybe $2,000 to $4,000 depending on the brand, depending on what they actually want to do, or if they want to do a more long-term partnership where maybe we're doing a series of videos over 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, then that price can be adjusted. But that's where honestly, I think most YouTubers like me absolutely suck at pricing, because what I would have told you before working with Team Mosh is I'd be like, "Hey, just like $200 and we'll call it good." And they're like, "Dude,
Whoa.
Tyler, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, why not?" And so they really help significantly that they provide that buffer. So I don't have to be the mean guy. They do it for me and they're able to get much more value out of me. So I guess an advice for a YouTuber is if you can find a partnership like with Team Osh or another brand partnership like that, that will help you so much, not only to do that initial screening, but actually to get what you are worth when it comes to some of that sponsored content.
That's awesome. And I'll plug Yulia and her team at Mishka Agency, also really excellent to work with from my perspective. Uh this is awesome. How can I ask, so there is a pull, right? There's a pull because we see influencers get big and then they start, like you said, like anywhere, like Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're watching influencers, not cyber, less cyber, I actually think, but influencers and creators in general, they get big and then the product stuff starts rolling in because I do think it's like an easy path to revenue, right? It's easier. Like you could say yes to all these companies, Tyler, and you could say, I'm not going to actually test your product. And I'm not actually, I could just say, yeah, we love X company. We love Soylent Green, it's people. So, like, you can take that path. What keeps you away from that? Like, from a personal perspective, what keeps you away from the
That's a
easy
good
money?
question. So I can't speak for other people, obviously. I can
No.
only speak for myself. And for me, one lesson, there was a famous philosopher, the notorious BIG, right? Who said more money, more problems, which is cliche, but there is some truth behind that. So I shared before, for 10 years, I was a pastor. I am not joking. As a pastor, I probably made, honestly, my starting salary was $12,000 a year. So you can do the math, but I made anywhere from 30 to maybe $45,000 a year. I did not make that much money. I'm the sole income provider for my wife and two kids. We were broke enough that we qualified for, I think, like free health insurance and in South Dakota. So, you have to be really broke for South Dakota to give you something for free. So, that's how much money I made as a pastor. And I made significantly more when I switched over to pen testing and offensive security. But I never changed my standard of living. So, I could go back to making like $50,000 a year and I would be fine. That's also probably why my video setup is so like duct taped together. That that's just how I do things. And so for me, I was making about $140,000 a year when I was a pen tester security consultant. And I gave myself about a $60 to $70,000 pay cut just to do my own thing. Because at the end of the day, like I am not motivated even a little bit by money. My only goal is number one, I don't want to become someone's employee again. I love being able to build my own thing, but I want to be able to work for myself and pay my bills. The beauty of living in rural South Dakota, I don't need that much money to work for myself and pay my bills. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, when you try to scale something, even a YouTube channel or a business, it gets to a point, from my limited perspective, once you add a bunch of employees or a full team, I started this thing because I wanted more freedom, more flexibility. I wanted to build something of my own. I wanted to give back to the community more. If I scale it up to a large level, all of a sudden I just become a slave of another business. I just happen to be the CEO of that business. So for me personally, I'm just not motivated by making more money. I'm motivated by giving back to the community as much as I can, hopefully being able to pay my bills as I go through it. But you could offer me $500,000 to quit what I'm doing now and work for somebody. And I would say no, because I don't need the money. I don't want your money. I just want to build my own stuff, get paid for it a little bit, and see how it helps people.
I love it, Tyler. I just read Simon Sinek, and I should have read it a long time ago, but I just read Simon Sinek's like Start with Why. And it sounds like you have such a strong why, which is really like the guiding light for all of your content and all of the work that you do. We are going to talk about Kairos Sec in a second. I want to know, how many hours a week do you spend recording video content?
Oh, right now isn't accurate. I'm making a course right now on web app pen testing. So I'm not joking. In the past like 4 weeks, I've made 70 videos and like 30 labs, which is absolutely insane as I'm grinding down this course. Outside of that, what's unique probably about my content is I have kind of two different ways of making content. I have my live streams, and then I
Yep.
have what I call my standalone videos on YouTube. Those are the shorter videos I release on YouTube. Basically, all of my standalone videos on YouTube come directly from my live stream. So while I live stream, I solve technical challenges and I teach, but I also take a bunch of questions from the audience. And when the audience asks a good question, I'm like, all right, guys, this is a good question. I'm going to hit record on OBS. I'm going to wing my answer, but this is a question a lot of people ask. And then I quite literally make the video. Then I might do some minor editing to it. But because of my background in public speaking and teaching and preaching, I can generally wing a video without any script and it sounds well rehearsed. And so anyone who's watched me on a live stream, they've seen me hit record and go into like YouTube mode and be able to make a video. And because of that, I don't have to spend a lot of time outside of my live streams making content. So as far as how much am I filming, well, it depends how much I am live streaming. When I'm not making a course, I generally live stream 3 to 4 days a week, and each one of those live streams are about 2 hours. So you're looking at maybe 8 to 10 hours of actually making content, and then outside of that, I'm making labs, being active in the community, and all that good stuff.
I love it. Do you have a YouTube voice?
I don't know. Let me think. So when I started live stream, like, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. My name is Tyler. Super excited to have you here. So yes, somewhat of a YouTube voice.
Somewhat of a
Honestly,
YouTube
it's
voice.
more of a public speaking voice, right? It's the projecting your voice out would be my YouTube voice.
Okay, I
I
love
don't
it.
talk like that in my day-to-day life. I don't like go to my wife and say, "Hello, what are we having for supper tonight?" But it is how I
Yeah,
talk when I'm recording.
I love it. Vince said, haha, the good old what's up, guys. So yeah, that's so
Exactly.
true. Like and subscribe. Um, that's I asked that question because we're gonna shift now into the fact that you're a business owner of multiple businesses, which is so interesting and challenging. And I run one business, and geez Louise, it's like 1,000,000 hours a week. So
Yeah.
you have Hack Smarter, you have Kairosec. This was a question that came in from the people who registered, and someone had said, sorry, this may not be a smart question. Are you employed? We covered that. How do you balance work and personal, like work, your work, and then your other pursuits? How do you balance all of this? Like, how do you balance having a family and having two businesses? How do you balance your businesses with each other? How do you balance being a creator? Like, this is a lot of stuff happening all at once.
Yeah, I'll try to break this down without talking for 30 minutes about it because this could be an entire conversation. So I went full time for myself on October 1st. Before that, I had YouTube and everything. I did some sponsored content. I released my first few courses when I was employed full time, and they were just more successful than I thought. So I was like, hey, I think I could do this full time and add a lot more value back to the community. So October 1st, quit my super high paying job to do my own thing and to see how it would go. On October 1st, my only goal then and my only goal now is once again, I want to make enough money to pay my own bills and not work for somebody else again. And I have two things that I'm passionate about. Kairosec is what's called a boutique pen testing firm. What that means is we focus on very high quality offensive security consulting. So we hack you before the bad guys do, before the criminals do. So there's Kairosec, but that's business to business sales. And then you have Hack Smarter, which is business to consumer sales. On Hack Smarter, I have super affordable courses, hands-on labs, and things of that nature to teach people ethical hacking. So kind of two different arms, but they also go together somewhat well. I thought when I started this, Kairosec would be the most successful endeavor of mine because it's business to business sales and you make a lot more money from just one pen test than you do selling a $16 subscription. It takes a lot of $16 subscriptions to be able to make a living off of that.
How much is
But
a pen test in general? Like a range, so that we could
yeah,
just
so
figure out how many subscriptions it takes.
yes, I can do the math. So a typical, like we'll say a web application pen test, because most companies have a web app. Let's say a 5-day web app pen test. You're looking at anywhere from about 12 to $13,000 for those 5 days, and
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot of overhead. Like there's some tooling and things like that. We won't go into that, but it's a pretty good profit margin when you do a pen test because they're paying you for your expertise.
Mhm.
So you get paid a lot better doing a pen test. What I don't know why I didn't realize this, but I realized it after the fact. When it comes to pen testing, I'm a massive bottleneck unless I hire staff, unless I increase the complexity. I can only do one pen test at a time. And on the pen testing, I mean, I'm doing sales, pen testing, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And when I'm on a pen test, the client is paying good money for me to be essentially working for them during that engagement. So if I'm on a 5-day pen test, I can't create content, I can't create courses. Like I am locked into that unless I do stuff in the evening in addition to the pen test. So what I've noticed is actually at this moment, Hack Smarter is significantly more successful just because I'm not the bottleneck. Hack Smarter
Mm.
has an entire community. We have labs. Most of them are created by the community. The community is super active. So I'm not the bottleneck on Hack Smarter. I am the bottleneck on Kairosec. So both are growing and both are significantly more successful than I was expecting. But right now, Hack Smarter is bringing in more revenue than the pen testing side of things simply because I'm the bottleneck when it comes to pen testing. I think the other question was about balance. I
Yes.
think,
I want to know. Tell me all the secret answers so that I can have fun again. I'm just kidding, guys. I have
yeah,
fun every day. I actually love everything, and I wake up delighted to be able to help marketers do better in cyber. But it was a joke. Tyler, answer the question anyway.
yeah, I love it. I, I don't have an answer that applies to everyone. So I always caution people when I answer this question. One part of it is I've noticed there's a lot of parents with young kids who compare themselves to, like, John Hammond is a good friend of mine. He's a cybersecurity content creator, very big in the space. As far as I know, he doesn't have kids yet. I don't know if he's planning on having kids, but he doesn't have kids, right? So he can dedicate significantly more time to creating content, traveling to conferences, speaking, doing all the things. Well, I do have kids. And I, no offense to any of you watching, I'd rather hang out with my kids than hang out with you at a conference. So, like, I attend very few conferences. I basically refuse to travel for work because I want to be present to my kids, not just be speaking on a stage. And anyone with young kids also knows being a good parent is one of the most exhausting and difficult things you can possibly do. And one of the reasons it's difficult is you don't see your return on investment immediately. You invest time into your business, you can make more sales. You invest times into your kids that might have one less temper tantrum instead of two temper tantrums that day, right? It is not immediately apparent the return on investment, which can mess with your brain a little bit. So, for those of you who have young kids, I would just strongly suggest it's much better to fail in your business or even fail in your career and succeed as a parent than the other way around. Far too many people sacrifice their kids and their family and their mental health on this altar to success to appease some god of cybersecurity, thinking if you do enough, then you'll be satisfied. The reality is, there's a lot of rich people who are super depressed, have no relationship with their kids. They're successful at work, but they failed in every other aspect of their life. So big caution there. Make sure for you, you prioritize what does success look like for me, and then define what balance looks like for you in that moment. For me, I have probably a naturally high energy output compared to the average person. And so I generally work your typical 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then at 5 p.m., I try to get away from everything, turn off my phone, and not touch it until my family is in bed and they go to bed somewhat early. And then I'm generally back online every single night working and making labs, live streaming. But like, I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't have many hobbies. Like, I like to box. Sometimes I make rap music, but I do that on stream. So I just jump on stream, hang out with people, and it's more natural. So I probably work anywhere from 60 to 70 hours a week.
Hmm.
But a lot of that work is just doing what I would do even if I wasn't being paid for it, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you sleep? How many hours a night do you sleep?
I actually get decent sleep, probably 7
Nice.
hours a night,
Ah,
like, it's not terrible. That's the other thing, like, I've gone seasons of my life where I neglect sleep, but you will be less productive. Like you think that if you neglect sleep, you'll be more productive. But when you're dead tired, especially doing technical work or video creation or making scripts, whatever you are doing, you're not going to be productive. Like just freaking go to bed. We all know that so many people say I work so late into the night, and their work is this, right? Scrolling on their phone. They're not actually doing anything productive, but they justify that they're staying up to date. No, just freaking go to bed. It'll be better for you in the long term.
I I love it. Very, very wise words. Muhammad has a great question. Would you, and it kind of ties into that like scaling of
Yeah.
Sec, right? Would you ever close off Sec due to success from Hack Smarter?
I would not. And the reason for that is what I advertise about Hack Smarter is we have realistic labs and courses that are taught by me who actually works in the industry. There's far too many training platforms that are created by trainers. Like their professional job is they train people, which is amazing. But it's weird, at least for me, if someone's training you how to be a pen tester when they've never done it a day in their life or they did it 15 years ago. So, if nothing else, when it comes to Kairosec, I would just do maybe 6 to 10 pen tests a year so that I remain technically sharp and I know what the real world looks like. So then all the content I create flows out of that. So I would never shut it down. If anything else, I would just scale back a little bit and focus more on Hack Smarter. But I don't ever have any plans of ever stopping doing the technical practitioner pen testing day to day work.
I love it. It ties back to that talk about authenticity. If you're not an offensive practitioner, if you're not doing the pen testing, then how are you going to teach the pen testing? Right?
Exactly. A lot
The
of people try,
exchange.
but that's where I
Yeah.
think like my channel attracts people. There's if you just search how to be a hacker on YouTube, you'll get hundreds of videos, usually someone wearing an anonymous mask because they know hacking plus YouTube equals views. And you look into their background, and like 99% of them have never ever done ethical hacking or pen testing a day in their life. And they just know it gets views. Whereas if I tell you how to become an ethical hacker, like I literally do this. I'm not just trying to sell you a pipe dream.
Exactly. You have your hands on the keyboard. You're actually doing it. I love it. I love it. We have a question that came in through the Q&A. What's your opinion on agentic pen testing?
This could be a can of worms. So I think agentic pen testing is for those in the audience who do not know the technical terms. It's kind of a fancy way of saying how will AI affect pen testing? Will AI take pen tester jobs? I think AI, like in every avenue, including marketing, whatever industry you name, I don't think it's going to destroy an industry or remove people's jobs, but it's going to fundamentally transform how your job works. Now, pen testing, there's things to be a little more careful about. So when it comes to AI pen testing, all these companies who advertise AI or autonomous pen testing on the back end, they're just using GPT or Gemini or Claude or one of those major providers. And the reality is, for them to do their agentic pen test, they're taking their clients' data and sending them out to a third party to do the AI side of things. And for a lot of clients, they're just not comfortable with you piping out their sensitive client data to a third party. That might change. I think that's one big hiccup when it comes to agentic pen testing. The other big thing is when it comes to AI plus pen testing, AI absolutely can replace and replicate a lot of the low level work when it comes to vulnerability scanning and even see if those vulnerabilities are true. I think where AI falls behind humans and will for the foreseeable future is when it comes to a business logic flaw. I
Hmm.
recognize a lot of you have no idea what that is, but a business logic flaw is taking what an application is meant to do and just figuring out how to abuse it. Not necessarily hack it, but abuse it. So, one example is a lot of web apps allow you to send invites to people like, join me on this website. Well, what you may not know, you probably don't know this, a lot of those email things, you can essentially hijack them in order to send spam and send your own messages. And companies are usually paying like Amazon SES a certain amount of money for the number of emails they send out. If there's no rate limiting, you can then bypass that and you can do what's called the denial of wallet attack. I'm not hacking you, I'm using your website's functionality, but I'm going to cost you a bunch of money in the process. AI can't necessarily think through that complex logic because it isn't a vulnerability in and of itself. So I know it's not a highly technical audience. So if you guys want more on that, join me for one of my live streams. We can go deep into that, but those are my initial thoughts on
Oh,
AI and pen testing.
I love it. And of course, we're going to absolutely share links for everyone after this ends. You know, tomorrow you get an email with the replay, the links, resources. I mentioned Vin Gong in the I'll include him, etc. Anything that's mentioned here. The book. Okay. We have very limited time left, and there's so many more questions and so much more to get into. Um, so can we pivot a little and talk about community, because community building is very interesting. It's what I do, it's what you do. It's big. It's like almost a buzzword now, which is very interesting. It's a lot of hard work. Can you tell us how you first started your Hack Smarter community, like from the early days? Like, how did you get people to join your Discord?
Yeah, I actually just released a blog on this for
Oh my
a
God.
website called Course Stack. They make, like, technical courses. So, literally, just today, I released a blog on this. But
We're
the
going to link
long
it.
story Yeah, you can check it out. The long story short is me and my friend Nate, who is also a pen tester now, we both wanted the OSEP. We both sucked at, like, being held accountable. So, we met once a week over those Zoom meetings. I talked about that earlier. We met once a week to hold one another accountable to our goals. We invited people we knew in real life to join us. One of the first people that used to be part of those early meetings was actually my daughter, Ava. She was in preschool at that time, and she would join and share with us what she learned in preschool the past week and what she was hoping to learn this upcoming week. So she was like a core founder of the Hack Smarter community in those weekly goal meetings. But we eventually invited more people to join us. And I think we had like 10 people in a Facebook group chat. And then someone suggested, hey, we should use Discord because it's going to be a lot easier to organize around it. So we started a Discord community. And then honestly, all the growth from there was just organic. I would share about the
Mhm.
Discord in my live streams, on my YouTube, on LinkedIn, just any area that I was making content. I would invite people to join us for our weekly goal meeting, come join the community and be part of it. And it just organically grew from there. I think the weakness, even when it comes to community building, is usually when someone is asking, how can I build a community? What they're really asking is how can I get a group of people that I can sell a product to so I can make more money? And the
Yes.
reality is people aren't stupid. They can tell when they're being treated like a product and when they're being used for whatever your little influencer dream is that you're trying to build. Hack Smarter was very organic. Everything was free. Even now, everything in our community is free or donate what you can to a nonprofit of your choice. I make no money from the community itself. The courses and labs were sort of a natural outflow of that as a way that I can give back to the community in an affordable and accessible way. But they came after the community was built. And that's where, when I started doing courses and making paid content, I told my community, like, guys, we're on this journey together. I'm going to build this in the public. And I've been as transparent as I possibly can, all the way down to recently in a live stream. I literally pulled up Stripe and was like, hey, here's my revenue dashboard. Here's where we're at right now. Here's what hosting fees cost me. Here's the goal we need to get to each week for this to be sustainable, just so you guys are aware of where we're at. When we have big wins, I celebrate, but I'm also very honest and transparent in my videos of how much it can suck being an entrepreneur, especially when, like, I don't know how much money I'm going to make tomorrow. I don't know how much money I'm going to make today. I don't know if I'm able to pay myself at the end of the month. Like, there's incredible amount of stress and weight there. And I share about it openly with the community, and they're a core part of it. I think Hack Smarter from the beginning and still is, it's not a corporate entity, right? Hack Smarter is the people who are all passionate about making cybersecurity training affordable and accessible for all people everywhere. We are a worldwide, international grassroots community focused on that mission.
I love it. It's mission. It's everybody who is part of your community agrees with that mission. It's similar in the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. We're here to help marketers be successful. Like, that's the goal. Every day, every decision we make is based off of the North Star of, does this help our members?
I love it.
Regardless of what it is. Does this help our members? Does this help marketers do better? Does this help their careers? That's literally every day, every decision, like at the top of all of our papers and everything. Like, does this help the member? And you could feel that in a community. Do you track any other, you talked about Stripe, do you track any other metrics like analytics, either in the community or in KairoSec?
I mean, the honest answer is I should. Like, I should get better at it. I've been so focused on just the business, like, revenue, building the business side of things, that honestly, I do need to sit down and think long term, like, how do we know if we're succeeding? The main thing I track right now is revenue and number of users. So Hack Smarter launched, our platform launched in October. We just surpassed 4,000 active users, which is amazing. So I track things like that. On the content side of things, I of course track on YouTube analytics, right? You can see your number of subscribers in the past month, your number of monthly views in the past month, and then that gives you a nice chart to scale that out. So I track that on the content creation side of things. But outside of that, I do not do a good job of tracking other things. So one big weakness I'll share on Hack Smarter, we send emails Very rarely. I should probably send them more. But when we have a major new release, I'll send out an email. And if I was doing things right, I would at least send those emails maybe once a week with new platform updates, or once every 2 weeks. I would track when they're open, when they're clicked, and I would figure out a way to work around that. I just literally don't have the time to do that right now as I'm building everything else, to answer your question.
Do you envision, I know you said you don't want to hire people, but do you envision having either the time or expanding the team ever? Because to me, even I think everyone listening here is saying like this is a lot. You know, you said you have good work-life balance and like you sleep at night and everything, but do you envision maybe in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, like down the line, that you're going to need to eventually get help with this?
Yeah, I go back and forth on this so often. I will probably hire someone this year for the hack smarter side of things.
Hmm.
Kairosec, I don't ever foresee hiring anyone full time. If anything, I would hire a contractor or two for a specific engagement if I needed them. On the hack smarter side of things, probably what's the most overwhelming is just the support. So I offer one-on-one support to anyone who needs it. And for technical courses, it's always like the lab is broken. I'm like, no, your methodology is broken. The lab is just fine, but it's always broken until I prove them otherwise. So I spend a lot of time just helping people understand labs, helping them understand the environment, and doing that like support ticket, IT support craziness. So I'm hoping, and this all comes down to revenue, right? I don't want to hire someone and then just pretend like we have the money. So once I can see that it's sustainable and I'm able to afford them, we will. It'll probably start at a very part-time basis. I've actually already know the person. We've had a conversation about it. And once we get to a spot where I can actually bring them on maybe 20 hours a week, that would be massive. So I foresee us maybe hiring part time in the beginning. If we ever hire someone full time, it would be like support is a big need. And then creating labs would be a big need as well. So hopefully, when we get to that point within the next few years, that will be the first couple of hires. I will say AI doesn't replace jobs per se, but if you are a what is it, a solopreneur, if that's the correct word, AI does help a lot with things. So I'm able to use AI for some of those mundane tasks. I generate notes with AI, things of that nature. And I have an accounting, like I have a professional accounting firm that I work with to do my accounting. I did all of it myself in 2025, but in 2026 I switched to an S corp. Anyone who knows business knows it. I was a single member LLC. Now I'm an S corp, so I have like payroll and W2. I gave the US government way too much money in taxes last year. So I'm now an S corp to hopefully save myself a little bit of money on taxes and have accountants do the accounting craziness.
Is it two entities? You have two S corps?
I do not know. So that's a good question. It's Kairosec is like the parent, and
Hmm.
then Kairosec and Hack Smarter underneath them because one is too much. And since they're so close together, at least my accountant was like, "Yeah, you're fine, just putting them under one umbrella."
Okay, cool. I was curious. Sorry, that was like such a like, let's talk about accounting, like,
Yeah,
question that I asked, but yeah, or entities. So, okay, we have another question from Mohammed, and then I have one more topic I want to hit on. Um, would you say technical sales has a role in cyber? I'm gonna answer first. Oh my gosh,
please.
yes. Yes. Technical sales is sales in cybersecurity, or it is where, because usually an AE or a salesperson, they're more of a relationship person, but they might not be hands on. They might not be able to demo the technology to the extent a prospect is interested in seeing, right? So, actually, at all the companies I've been on, it was kind of like a team in the sales process, AE and sales engineer together, to make sure that we were providing to the prospects all of the information that they needed. But I'll let also Tyler, you can jump in.
That's spot on. There's not much I would add. I mean, Kairosec is unique in that I thoroughly and actually enjoy sales and marketing, and I thoroughly enjoy technical work. So, like, if someone sets up a call with Kairosec, I'll be the salesperson talking to you and explaining what we have, and I'll also be the technical person doing the work. That has a huge advantage because I'm not. I think sometimes there can be a disconnect between technical sales and the technical work, where sales sells something that you're left trying to be like, oh, how are we going to do that? Whereas,
Hmm.
like, if you talk to me, I'm literally the one doing the work. I can tell you exactly what we're able to do, what we're not able to do, and I'm very low pressure on sales. I'll even tell you if we're not a good fit for you. But
Hmm.
I do think, yeah, absolutely. Technical sales is a very unique skill set that most engineers do not have because they're too technical. And when they talk, they use crazy acronyms, and the customer's like, what? And so, yes, technical sales is a really good career to pursue.
I love it. Mohammed, if you have another question, feel free to post it. Um, that is it's a great, I just gotta echo it, an amazing career. Okay, last topic. And if anyone has last minute questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A or in the chat. Um, marketing for Kairosec. How do you market and sell your pen testing? Right? Because you said, right, you were an offensive practitioner, you were hands-on, you worked at a company. Now you're selling and marketing your own pen testing. How do you think about that? How does Tyler do marketing and
Yeah.
sales? And I know the first way is through your streams, but I'll let you say it.
Yes, still trying to figure that out. I mean, technically, I do influencer marketing. I just
Yeah.
happen to be the influencer also doing the marketing. So a lot of our sales do come through a security engineer sees a YouTube video of mine, they realize I do pen testing, and they reach out, and then I'll jump into a call with them or their CIO or whoever it is and figure out more about their project. So really, most of our sales come directly from my YouTube channel and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is another big spot because there's a lot of business to business type things there. So I have a pretty large LinkedIn presence. So YouTube and LinkedIn are probably our biggest sales funnel when it comes to Kairosec. We're working. So Jerry Ozier is another good friend of mine. People may know him from the Simply Cyber world. He is technically the director of strategy for Kairosec. So I do have an employee. I just don't pay him anything unless we land a pen test. So he gets a percentage of a pen test when we land a pen test, but he's helping me with some of the business side of things. So he and I are releasing a podcast, video podcast in February that's geared towards CIO. So we're talking about pen testing, but not to the technical security engineers, more to the decision makers to understand what pen testing is, what questions you should be asking. So even if they don't go with Kairosec, it's really good foundational knowledge. And then maybe they'll be like, hey, this podcast gives good information. I know they do pen testing. I should talk to them. So that launches in February. I'll be able to report back, 6 months after that to see if it was a success. But we're going to release seasons, which I think is good for podcasts. So I think we recorded 8 episodes. So season one's already done. And then we'll release the first episode in February. And then we'll start season 2 shortly after that. So those are the things I'm trying. But what I like to do is call everything an experiment, right? Because if it fails, you just say we're just experimenting, and if it succeeds, you look smart. So if you just call it an experiment, it's a win-win. So I'm experimenting. We'll see what works.
I love it. In my budgets, when I used to run marketing for companies, I would always have a line item in the budget, 20 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, whatever, right? These were larger. It was companies, experiments.
It's the way.
We'd use it. We'd actually use it for influencer marketing. We use it for whatever random sort of thing we wanted to try out and didn't know for sure if it would work. And be like, no, it was in the experimental budget, right? And sometimes you hit, a diamond with that and it works really well. And you're like, great. I'm so glad I had that opportunity to try something because I didn't lock everything into an existing category. So
That's
last
awesome. I love
question, and
that.
we're gonna let Mohammed ask it. As a student, wonder if I should go and do an undergrad degree in cyber or do a degree in business.
Depends what your end goal is. If you want to work in what's called the blue team, so for those who don't know technical terms, that would be the defensive side of cybersecurity. Generally, you work at more mature organizations, and just to get past the HR barrier, you need a bachelor's degree, even if it's not in cyber. So having a bachelor's helps you get through that. I have an associate's in business, a bachelor's in cybersecurity, a master's of divinity, which is theology, and I was working on my doctorate in theology when I pivoted careers. So I'm a fan of education, but if you want to be a pen tester, you don't need a degree. You generally need the OSCP through OffSec, and then do some security research on your own, build a YouTube channel, a platform, and that's the best way to get into things. So if your end goal is more blue team or leadership, bachelor's degree, yes. If your end goal is you want to be a security consultant, it might still be helpful to get your foot in the door, but generally you don't need a degree to be a offensive security consultant. You need hands-on certifications.
Tyler, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so fun. I could ask you like 1,000 more questions. I know you're really busy and we're on time. Folks, we'll see you next month for our next creator, Ask a Creator Anything series with Philip Wiley. Tyler, any last words? Where can people contact you? They all know, but where can people reach out?
Yeah, if you just look up my name on LinkedIn or YouTube, Tyler Ramsbey, would love to connect with people. I will just say, freaking LinkedIn, I have like 5,000 requests. I'm probably going to ignore you on LinkedIn if you send a connection request, unless you DM me on Discord. So join the Hack Smarter Discord. Let me know you added me on LinkedIn. Then I will manually go through and accept. Otherwise, YouTube is where I release most of my content. I also live stream YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn, and hacksmarter.org is that platform, and kairos-sec.com is the pen testing firm. So if you want training, go to Hack Smarter. If you want a pen test, if you want me to hack your marketing company before the bad guys do, go to Kairos Sec. Would love to work with you. But honestly, Discord, YouTube, LinkedIn, I try to be as approachable as possible and would love to connect with people.
We're going to include all those links in the email follow up. And I've just decided to put this on our podcast, and in the show notes. Thank
I
you,
love it.
everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Appreciate you, Tyler. Have a great rest of your day, too.
Cool. See you guys.